Welcome back to BIM Heroes Radio. This is episode 15, focusing on market research and analysis in week 2 of the business development program. We've got a whole stack of insightful articles from www.bimhero.io, and it's really like a cheat sheet for staying ahead of the curve in this industry.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today, right? How to really understand your market, how to size up the competition, and how to kind of get inside the heads of your potential clients.
I find it fascinating how much marketing in AEC comes down to trust and expertise.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not about those like flashy sales tactics, right? It's about building those long-term relationships.
Yeah, it's almost like you're not just selling a product or service, but you're selling peace of mind. Clients need to know that they can rely on you for the long haul, especially with projects as complex as the ones we see in AEC.
And Russ Monroe from BIM Heroes, he really hits the nail on the head with this. He even suggests that AEC companies could learn a thing or two from sectors with higher profit margins when it comes to marketing.
That's an interesting point. It makes you wonder if there's a missed opportunity there. If companies like Tarmac Trading and Belfer Beatty are seeing those real results by investing in strategic marketing, maybe others in AEC should be taking notes.
Especially when you consider how much branding is tied to a company's reputation in this industry. It's about communicating your firm's reliability and experience right off the bat. And with things like ESG, those environmental, social, and governance factors becoming more and more important, how you address those concerns is directly tied to your reputation.
It's like ESG is becoming a language that clients are using to evaluate potential partners, right? If your firm can demonstrate that strong commitment to sustainability and ethical practices, it says a lot.
And how do you communicate that? Content marketing. Russ is a huge advocate for AEC firms positioning themselves as thought leaders, sharing valuable insights through white papers, case studies, even those guides that help potential clients navigate the complexities of AEC processes.
Yeah, it's all about adding value, not just pushing products or services. When you educate your audience and demonstrate that genuine expertise, that's where the trust begins to build.
And of course, you need the right digital tools to reach the right people. Russ highlights the importance of things like SEO to attract clients who are actively searching for specific services. LinkedIn for that essential B2B networking.
What I find interesting is his point about some AEC company websites needing some serious help. It's like their online presence is a missed opportunity to showcase their expertise and attract new clients.
Totally. First impressions matter, right? And your website is often that first interaction a potential client has with your business. But beyond the digital tools, it all comes back to having that clear marketing strategy. Russ really encourages us to understand our target market, find what makes our businesses unique, and play to those strengths. He even gives us the handy acronym DES, describe, express, and specify.
It's brilliant in its simplicity, right? Keep your marketing messages clear, concise, and focused on what truly matters to your audience. In a world of information overload, that kind of clarity is such a breath of fresh air.
Speaking of clarity, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about competitor analysis. Alchema Alam from BIM Heroes describes it as strategic detective work, and I think that's such a perfect analogy.
It really is like putting on your detective hat and examining your rivals, right? You're looking for clues in their marketing materials, project portfolios, even their company culture to uncover their strengths, their weaknesses, and their overall market positioning.
And she breaks it down into a 5-step process, starting with identifying your competitors, both direct and indirect. Alsima even reminds us that tools we use every day like Google and Amazon are great places to start.
Yeah, it's so basic, yet so many people overlook it. Before you can even think about formulating a winning strategy, you need to know who you're up against. And not just the big players, those newer, more agile companies could be disrupting the market in ways you haven't even considered.
Then it's on to market research, gathering those essential insights into trends, customer preferences, and the overall economic climate. I appreciate how Alshima emphasizes using a combination of primary and secondary research methods.
That's a key point, right? Primary research, like conducting interviews or surveys, gives you that firsthand perspective, while secondary research leverages existing sources like industry reports or, even competitor websites.
And once you've got a grasp on the competitive landscape, you can start comparing your product or service features against your rivals. Alshima recommends a feature-by-feature breakdown, looking at things like price, customer support, and ease of use.
This is where you really start to uncover your unique selling proposition, right?
Yeah.
What makes your offering stand out in that crowded market? What value do you bring that your competitors don't?
And don't forget to analyze their marketing strategies. Alshama suggests diving deep into their social media, their website copy, even press releases to understand how they're communicating with their audience.
You can learn so much from observing what your competitors are doing well. Are they leveraging video content? Are they focusing on thought leadership? By analyzing their approach, you can adapt and refine your own marketing strategy.
And finally, you bring it all back to your own business using a SWOT analysis. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This helps you evaluate your position in the market and identify those areas for improvement.
The beauty of a SWOT analysis is that it forces you to be honest with yourself, right? It highlights your competitive advantages, but it also exposes your vulnerabilities. That kind of objective self-assessment is so essential for making strategic decisions.
And remember, competitor analysis isn't a one-time activity. It's an ongoing process to stay ahead of the curve and adapt to those changes in the market.
Absolutely. The AEC landscape is constantly evolving, and your understanding of your competitors needs to evolve right along with it.
Before we move on to our next expert, let's pause and consider how the BIM Heroes Business Development CPD course workbook can help you apply these concepts.
That's a great idea. The workbook has some fantastic exercises to help you put these ideas into practice. For example, there's a section on setting your leadership vision where you can reflect on your goals for business development.
Yeah, you can actually write down your specific goal, whether it's improving client engagement or expanding your professional network, and then think about how enhancing your business development skills would benefit your team and the AEC industry as a whole.
And don't forget about those challenges designed to help you implement what you've learned on a real project. It's all about taking that theoretical knowledge and turning it into tangible actions.
Okay, so let's continue our deep dive into the fascinating world of buyer personas and target audiences. Azer Diezken from BIM Heroes, he really emphasizes that understanding your audience is the foundation of successful marketing.
He even quotes Philip Kotler, considered the father of modern marketing, who said that good marketing starts with knowing your audience, not pushing a product.
Azer also clarifies the distinction between buyer personas and target audiences, which can sometimes be confusing. He explains that a buyer persona is a deep dive into the motivations, challenges, and behaviors of your ideal client. It's like creating a detailed profile of that perfect customer, going way beyond just basic demographics.
And that level of understanding is what allows you to tailor your messaging and really connect with clients on a personal level. It's like the difference between speaking to a crowd and having a one-on-one conversation.
Exactly. And target audiences, while still important, are those broader groups defined by shared characteristics like age, profession, or interests. Both are essential tools, but those buyer personas really help you craft messages that resonate on a deeper level.
Think about it this way. When you understand your buyer persona, you can anticipate their needs, address their pain points, and offer solutions that feel custom-made for them. That's powerful stuff.
Azer highlights how important this is for creating messages that prompt action. He even quotes David Meerman Scott, who said that knowing your audience allows you to turn your marketing into a conversation that feels personal and engaging.
That's a brilliant point. It's not about bombarding people with generic sales pitches. It's about creating a dialogue that feels authentic and relevant.
He also references Seth Godin, who emphasizes that effective marketing solves a problem the buyer knows they have. It's not about pushing products. It's about offering genuine solutions that make a difference in their lives.
I think that's a crucial distinction, especially in the AEC industry. We're dealing with complex challenges, high-stakes projects. Clients need to know they can trust you to understand their needs and deliver those results.
And to wrap up this section, Azer offers some really practical tips for crafting messages that resonate with your audience. Speak to their specific challenges, mirror their language, and offer personalized solutions that feel tailored to their individual needs.
He even quotes Anne Handley, who says, and I love this, the best content is written for a real person, not an idea of one. It's about making that genuine connection.
And he drives home the point that understanding your target audience isn't optional. It's absolutely essential for success in today's competitive market.
Knowing your audience empowers you to create marketing campaigns that go beyond simply speaking to people. They connect with them on a deeper level, building trust and establishing that foundation for lasting relationships.
Okay, before we jump into the next article, let's quickly connect this to the BIM Heroes Business Development CPD course workbook. You'll find some great exercises in there to solidify what we're talking about today.
Yeah, for example, there's a section on setting your leadership vision for business development, and it prompts you to define your goals, whether it's boosting client engagement or building that professional network. And then consider how becoming a stronger leader in this area could benefit both your team and the wider AEC industry.
And it even has a space for you to jot down those key concepts and create action plans. So you can actually list concrete strategies for applying what you've learned, and you can even set timelines for implementation. I love how practical and actionable it is.
And the workbook also has challenges to help you apply these concepts to a real project, which is a fantastic way to really solidify your learning.
All right, so let's switch gears now, okay? And let's step into the shoes of a buyer for a moment. Russ Monroe's is back, and this time he's diving deep into the 9 stages a senior buyer goes through when considering a software purchase. It's like a roadmap of their decision-making process.
He really breaks it down, doesn't he? Starting with problem identification and needs assessment, where the buyer recognizes a problem and figures out what they need to solve it. Russ even challenges us to consider whether the buyer has accurately defined those needs and if they truly understand those potential solutions out there.
It makes you realize that sometimes the buyer might not have the full picture, right? And that's where you as the expert can step in and guide them. Then comes the research and information gathering stage. This is where the buyer starts exploring those different options, gathering information. And Russ really emphasized how crucial it is for sellers to establish themselves as trusted advisors during this stage.
Yeah, it's not about being pushy. It's about providing those valuable insights, building that credibility. So when the buyer is ready to make a decision, they see you as a partner, not just a vendor.
And that leads to, setting criteria and budgeting, where the buyer sets those specific criteria for evaluating solutions and, of course, figures out their budget. Russ suggests that sellers should respond to RFPs strategically, aligning their proposals with the buyer's top priorities.
This stage is all about understanding the buyer's constraints and demonstrating how your solution fits within their framework. It's showing them you've done your homework and you're serious about meeting their needs.
Evaluation and shortlisting is where things start to get really interesting. The buyer compares those different solutions, they conduct demos, and they start to narrow down their choices. And as we learned from Arnab Saha, critical thinking skills are absolutely essential here.
Absolutely. Buyers need to be able to sift through all that information they're receiving, weigh the pros and cons of each solution, and make informed decisions based on a thorough analysis. It's a crucial step in the process.
Then comes the risk assessment and due diligence stage. This is where the buyer identifies those potential risks associated with each solution, and Russ recommends that sellers offer guarantees and warranties to alleviate those concerns and build confidence.
This is particularly important in the AEC industry, where projects are often complex, long-term, and involve, significant financial investments. Clients need that reassurance that you're standing behind your product or service.
And because AEC projects often involve multiple stakeholders, right? The next stage is all about stakeholder consultation and buy-in. The buyer seeks input from those key decision makers, builds consensus around that preferred solution.
This is where those strong communication and collaboration skills come into play. As a seller, you need to be able to effectively address concerns, build those relationships, and gain buy-in from all the key players.
Then we have the decision-making and approval stage. This is where the buyer finally makes their choice and secures those necessary approvals. Russ points out that procurement teams might not always be the final decision makers, so sellers need to be prepared to engage with a wider range of stakeholders throughout the process.
It's about understanding those organizational dynamics and building relationships with everyone who has a voice in the decision.
Once the decision is made, it's on to implementation planning. Now the focus shifts to developing that detailed plan, coordinating with the vendor, planning for training, onboarding.
This stage requires strong project management skills and a forward-thinking approach to ensure a smooth transition and a successful implementation.
And finally, we have monitoring and evaluation. Here, the buyer tracks the performance of the solution and assesses its effectiveness against their initial goals and expectations.
This final stage is crucial for both the buyer and the seller. For the buyer, it's about ensuring they made the right decision and are getting the value they expected. For the seller, it's an opportunity to gather feedback, identify areas for improvement, and build that long-term satisfaction and loyalty.
Russ doesn't stop there. He also takes us on a deep dive into those psychological processes that underpin a buyer's journey. It's like taking a crash course in buyer psychology.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? He starts with awareness, that initial aha moment when the buyer recognizes a need or a problem. And that awareness can be triggered by internal issues, external market trends, or even, seeing what their competitors are doing.
Then comes motivation, that internal drive to address the problem. And this is influenced by a whole range of factors, from personal goals and organizational objectives to the pressure to improve performance and stay ahead of the curve.
We see this all the time in the AEC industry, where efficiency, cost reduction, innovation are those constant driving forces.
Next up is information processing, where the buyer actively searches for solutions, gathers data, weighs their options. This is where they're really diving deep, comparing those features, trying to determine that best fit for their needs.
It's like they're putting all the pieces of the puzzle together, trying to figure out which solution creates the most complete picture.
And then we get to the emotional response, which I think is one of the most interesting aspects of the buyer's journey. Russ suggests that emotions play a powerful role in decision-making, and I couldn't agree more.
Think about it. Buyers might feel excited about the potential of a new solution, or anxious about the risks involved, or even frustrated with their current situation. And those emotions can significantly influence their choices, even if they're trying to be completely rational.
He also highlights risk perception and aversion, which is especially relevant in the AEC industry, where projects are complex and the stakes are often high.
Buyers are naturally going to carefully assess those potential risks associated with each option, and their tolerance for risk will play a key role in their decision.
Social influence is another powerful factor. Russ points out that the opinions of colleagues, industry peers, and other trusted sources can heavily influence a buyer's decision.
It's human nature, isn't it? We're social creatures. We're often swayed by the experiences and recommendations of others, especially those we respect.
Then there's cognitive dissonance, that mental tug of war that happens when a buyer encounters conflicting information and has to kind of resolve those internal conflicts to make a decision.
It's that feeling of unease that arises when our beliefs or assumptions are challenged. And in the world of AEC, where information is constantly evolving, buyers are bound to experience this at some point in their journey.
Commitment and consistency are next. Russ suggests that buyers are more likely to choose solutions that align with their past commitments and company strategies.
Yeah, we tend to seek consistency in our choices. It's a way of justifying our decisions and maintaining that sense of order.
Then comes that decision-making stage itself, where the buyer weighs all the information, considers all the factors, and finally commits to a solution.
It's the culmination of the entire journey. The moment when the buyer takes all the insights they've gathered, all the emotions they've experienced, and translates it into a concrete decision.
And finally, we have the post-purchase evaluation. This is where the buyer reflects on their choice, assesses whether the solution met their expectations, and determines if they made the right decision.
This final stage is so crucial for building long-term satisfaction and loyalty. If the buyer feels good about their choice, they're more likely to become a repeat customer and advocate for your product or service.
Wow, that was a deep dive into the buyer's mind. It's almost like we've uncovered this hidden world of psychology that underpins the entire sales process.
It's amazing how much goes on beneath the surface, isn't it? And understanding these psychological processes can really help sellers connect with buyers on a deeper level and build those strong, lasting relationships.
Switching gears now to some exciting market trends. Yara Oweiss, also from BIM Heroes, explores sustainability, digitalization, and smart construction in the AEC industry.
And she really emphasizes that staying ahead of the curve is crucial no matter what we call these trends. Adapting to the evolving needs of the market is essential for success.
She defines a market trend as something that changes the consumption process or customer behavior. It's about recognizing how the market is shifting and making sure your business is evolving along with it.
She breaks down three main focal points for the future of AEC: sustainability, digital transformation, and smart construction, suggesting that these trends are reshaping the industry and creating tons of opportunities for those who are willing to embrace them.
First, Yara dives into sustainability, emphasizing its significance in the AEC industry. It's not just about meeting regulations anymore, right? It's about meeting the demands of clients and stakeholders who are prioritizing environmentally responsible solutions.
Absolutely. Yara talks about green building practices as a way to minimize environmental impact during the design and construction process. And there are even evaluation systems, like LEED, to assess how green a building truly is.
Then she moves on to digitalization, calling it, and I quote, the most exciting trend in AEC. And I'd have to agree. She highlights how digital technologies such as BIM and GPS can improve project efficiency, reduce those risks, and boost profit margins.
What I find fascinating is the concept of a digital twin, a digital representation of a physical asset. It's changing the game in terms of how projects are managed and executed.
Then she brings up virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR, which allow for immersive experiences, enhanced collaboration, and improved visualization during both the design and construction process. We're seeing more and more AEC firms adopting these technologies to enhance communication, reduce errors, and increase that overall efficiency.
And then there's smart construction, which leverages sensors, IoT devices, and data analytics to optimize construction processes and create intelligent infrastructure. It's about making those construction sites smarter, safer, and more sustainable.
Yora highlights how these three trends, sustainability, digitalization, and smart construction, work together to create a more efficient, resilient, and future-proof industry.
By embracing these trends, AEC firms can not only meet those client demands, but also gain a real competitive edge.
She also acknowledges those challenges, though, right? There's often resistance to change within organizations, and overcoming that requires strong leadership, clear communication, and a clear vision for the future.
She even shares real-world examples of successful implementations, emphasizing that learning from those who have already paved the way is key to accelerating the transformation of the industry.
Okay, that was a lot to unpack. We've covered branding, competitor analysis, the psychology of buyers, and now emerging market trends.
Before we move on, why don't we take a look at how the Business Development Workbook can help us apply all of these concepts?
That's a great idea. The workbook has some awesome challenges that encourage us to put all of this knowledge into action.
For example, Challenge 1 prompts us to identify a live project or a client interaction where we can apply one of the concepts we've learned today.
It's all about finding those real-world applications and seeing how these ideas can make a tangible difference in our work.
Then Challenge 2 encourages us to inspire our teams to adopt a new approach based on what we've discovered. It's about sharing our knowledge and creating a ripple effect of positive change within our organizations.
And don't forget, the workbook also provides that space for feedback and reflection. It encourages us to think about what worked well, what could be improved, and how we can continue to grow and evolve as business development professionals.
It's a reminder that learning is a continuous process, and we should always be seeking ways to refine our approach and improve our skills.
Okay, ready for our final deep dive. We're going to hear from Andrzejana Nasteska, who explores strategies for identifying opportunities for business growth in the AEC industry.
She starts by reminding us that the AEC industry is facing both challenges and opportunities, and successfully navigating this landscape is key to not just surviving, but thriving.
Andrzejana highlights that projected growth of the global AEC market, which is expected to reach approximately $24.36 billion by 2032. That's a lot of potential for those who are prepared to seize the opportunities.
That's incredible growth. She points to advancements in BIM software, the increasing complexity of projects, and the expansion of construction sectors worldwide as those key drivers. And she dives into the concept of digital transformation, emphasizing its potential to reshape the AEC industry and create even more opportunities for growth.
She defines digital transformation as the adoption and implementation of digital technologies to create new or modify existing products, services, and operations. It's about using technology to innovate, improve efficiency, and create new value for clients.
Andrzejana then outlines 5 key pillars for successful digital transformation in the AEC sector.
First up is AI maturity. She suggests that companies that prioritize AI adoption can gain a significant competitive advantage.
She explains that AI maturity refers to an organization's level of development, adoption, and optimization of AI capabilities. It's about having the right infrastructure, skills, and culture in place to effectively leverage the power of AI.
Next, she explores the Internet of Things, IoT, and how it's revolutionizing data collection and usage on those construction sites. IoT-enabled devices and sensors provide those real-time insights into equipment performance, site safety, and so much more. Her third pillar is data-driven decision-making. She emphasizes the importance of leveraging data analytics to inform those strategic choices and optimize project outcomes.
In a data-rich industry like AEC, being able to extract meaningful insights from that data is essential for making informed decisions and gaining a competitive edge.
Sustainability is her fourth pillar. She points out that it's no longer just a regulatory requirement, but a key market differentiator. Clients are demanding environmentally responsible solutions, and companies that can deliver on those demands will stand out from the crowd.
Andrzejana even highlights how digital transformation can support various sustainable development goals, such as those related to clean energy, responsible consumption, and sustainable cities.
Her final pillar focuses on organizational culture. She emphasizes the crucial role of a culture that embraces innovation, collaboration, and continuous learning in successful digital transformation.
And she shares a great example from Nairaze, a company whose 2026 vision highlights the importance of fostering an inclusive and collaborative work environment to retain talent and drive international growth.
It's a perfect example of how investing in organizational culture can lead to tangible business benefits.
And Drijana concludes by emphasizing that embracing new technologies, streamlining processes, and committing to those sustainable practices are what give companies a competitive edge in the AEC industry. It's about having the right tools, the right mindset, and a culture that supports innovation and growth.
And she leaves us with a great question to ponder. What steps would you take to innovate, stay competitive, and contribute to a more sustainable industry?
It's a challenge for all of us to consider our role in shaping the future of AEC.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's reflect on everything we've explored. We've covered a lot of ground, from branding and competitor analysis to the psychological nuances of buyers and those emerging market trends.
We've heard from some brilliant minds in the industry who have shared their insights on a wide range of topics.
And we've discovered valuable resources, like the BIM Heroes Business Development CPD course workbook, which provides practical tools and challenges to help us apply these concepts in our work.
But the journey doesn't end here. This is just the beginning of your path to becoming a more effective and influential leader in the AEC industry.
We encourage you to keep exploring these topics. Engage with the BIMHero.io community and share your own experiences and insights.
Remember, by embracing innovation, collaboration, and continuous learning, we can all contribute to building a more sustainable, efficient, and successful AEC industry. And now for our final thought-provoking question. As you think about your own business within the AEC industry, what's one key takeaway from today's deep dive that you can apply to gain a competitive advantage?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. Join the conversation on www.bimhero.io and share your insights with the BIM Heroes community.
And don't forget to subscribe to BIM Heroes Radio on YouTube and Spotify for more insightful discussions and expert perspectives on the AEC industry. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep building a better future for the AEC industry.